you still awake? Curl up and pull the covers a little tighter. Because in this episode, we have five frights with writer-director Tim O'Leary, whose murder mystery Laid Bare is currently streaming on Out TV. Welcome in, Tim.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad you could join us as a guest host for this podcast for our bonus episodes of Five Frights.
Yes.
This episode, we are taking it back to your childhood, the things that terrified you as a child. Just a casual, you know, conversation that you have with your friends when you're sitting in the dark,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start and we can kind of volley if that works for
Okay.
you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I don't know about you, but did you grow up like going to amusement parks and zoos and things like that
Oh, yeah.
where they had like the characters that dressed up and all that stuff?
I did. I'm very curious where this is going.
Okay, you know those kids who were afraid of the mascots?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So that's who my parents thought that I was. So my
Okay.
whole childhood, everyone said I was afraid of costume character, which is hilarious since I actually did mention as a cosplay for many years. But because one time at the zoo, I think I was like five, we went and they had Spider-Man and Green Goblin. And Spider-Man came swinging in and doing his thing, and then Green Goblin came in, and everyone was like, "Ooh, no, it's Green Goblin!" Like, the crowd was all into it, and Spider-Man like defeated him and stuff. And then after their little, performance piece, they all came around the crowd and were shaking people's hands and doing all this stuff. And Spider-Man would not fucking come over to me. But who came over? The Green Goblin. And I was not having that. I was like, I don't want the Green Goblin. He's the bad guy. I'm not shaking his hand. And I made a scene about it. I was like, I'm
Amazing.
not gonna shake the Green Goblin's hand. So even though it wasn't actually a true childhood fear, that is what I was marked with for my youth, was
Oh,
that
so
I
you
was
weren't
the
really
kid.
afraid of him.
No.
You were like, I don't
I was like, well,
want
fuck
to.
you. You're the Green
Yeah.
Goblin. I'm not shake your hand. They were just kind of like coming around and like shaking everyone's hand,
Oh,
like they were a politician or something. I was like, what is
amazing.
this? To this day, I stand by that decision.
And that was, you were five.
Probably like
I'm
five.
assuming this is right around the time the 2002 movie came out when you were
Exactly.
five. Yeah, me too. I was also five
Yeah,
in
it
2002.
definitely wasn't that 70s costume Spider-Man that came flying down in the Finley Zoo.
Nice.
No. So that's the first one that like just popped in my mind because it still
Okay.
throws me off to this day. I'm like, I wasn't afraid. And they're like, remember when you were afraid of costume? I'm like, no,
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't afraid of
I'm
him.
trying to think if I was ever afraid of like a costume character. I don't think so. I'm just I went to Disney World when I was a kid, and they were very, very friendly costume characters. Like, no one's afraid of Mickey Mouse, I don't think.
Yes, they
Uh,
are,
oh, they
because
are?
there are some screamers, some kids who you
Oh,
put them on
okay.
Santa's lap, they cry. You put them next to Goofy, they cry. You get them next to whatever, they cry. I can understand if it's a clown, but
Oh, a
there are
clown.
kids,
Yes.
yeah,
That's
to this
legitimately scary.
day,
I would be scared
to this
today.
day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, there are kids who freak the Easter Bunny. Oh my God, yeah. Steel Magnolias was not
Oh
allowed.
my God. I'm thinking because I had a job where I was in the costume a lot. Like I had a job at a bookstore, I remember, and I was the Easter
Oh.
Bunny and Santa Claus and yeah,
Oh, so you did like the holiday gambit
I
of
did. Yeah. I think I got paid $5 an hour.
Oh my
And I
God.
was sweltering in those costumes, I remember. It was so hot. But I did the job with my best friend Stacy, and I remember we got a lot of really like funny pictures of us with like decapitated Easter bunny heads and stuff.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to. Who was telling me? Well, I know you used to have long hair. Were you the one telling me that you got your hair caught in one of those fans?
No, that wasn't me. Ooh, I would remember
Ah!
that.
Okay,
Mm-mm-mm.
so this person, I forget who it was now. Fuck. Um, was telling me they did have those big costumes,
Ooh,
but
nightmare.
their head had a fan in it,
And their hair got caught
and their
into it.
hair got caught in the
Oh
fan.
no. Oh, I hate that. No, I didn't have a fan. I just sweat until I
You
almost
said
died.
this. That's a nightmare in and of itself.
Yeah. But you're 17, you're like $5 an hour, sure.
I
It was the
mean,
90s also, so
yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
money's money.
Right. Okay, do I go with my first one?
Yes, please. I want to hear all
Okay.
about it.
So it was funny because I was like, oh, Frights from childhood. And I actually, it's interesting that I'm a horror director now because my first exposure to a horror film was a seminal memory. And so I'll never forget, this is how old I am. I was going to the local non-Blockbuster video store. This is before Blockbuster, with my mom, and I was probably 5. And they were showing they were just like playing a movie on the TV as we came in, but they were playing David Cronenberg's The Fly. And I have subsequently seen that movie and I love it. But
Yes, classic, absolute classic.
oh, it's so good. Jeff Goldblum is so hot before, he
Before he turns into
turns
a
into a fly.
fly. I
Um,
mean, even after,
and also,
man.
who doesn't love Gina Davis? Come on.
Come
But
on.
we walked in, my mom and me, in that horrible nightmare sequence that Gina Davis's character has, where she's giving birth and she gives birth to like a larva, like a human baby sized larva, and it was so gross and scary and traumatizing that I think I started crying.
And they just
Uh,
had that playing at the
yeah, at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday.
uh,
Because I'm pretty sure I got out of kindergarten and
oh
then
my
my mom and
God.
I went there to like probably rent like Care Bears or something, and that's what they were playing.
See, this is what
Um,
y'all are missing with streaming and not have physical
no,
media because, you'd walk into one of these places and
yeah. And I
the
remember
whole place would
it
be
was so
blank.
like deeply upsetting. And my mom told the probably like 15-year-old kid that was working there, like you can't be showing this, blah blah blah. And so I still very, very vividly remember they changed the channel and then it was like professional wrestling. And it was like a Hulk Hogan era professional wrestling. I don't know
Oh
why I
yeah, because
remember that.
that's better for kids.
I mean,
Steroids, blood,
I loved
violence.
Hulk Hogan when I was a kid. Then I learned he's
I
racist
know
and
what a
dead, I
fall.
think.
Yeah,
Did he
and
die?
quite dead. Yes.
He died.
So, I
Yeah, okay.
mean, it's
Sorry.
one in the plus category.
Yeah, well, don't be racist or you'll die. That's what we learned. Right, Hulk? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
True
So,
story.
true story.
Okay, my next fear from childhood, I really want to preference this. Again, I was very young. I was a child. I did not understand, and we'll get there. So excuse me for being an asshole at like 5 or 6. So my great grandmother, my parents were really young. They had me when they were like 18, 19, whatever. And my grandparents were really young when they had kids, and on and on and on, right? We're from the country, okay? So I knew my great grandmother very well growing up, and she had an impairment in her hand that actually closed it like a claw. And they call like in martial arts they call it a panther punch, where it's like the
Oh.
first knuckles of your hand, but it's a kind of a claw, and it's like very pulled back, and I didn't understand what that was. And, because it was very prominent and, she would gesture and, all that stuff. If like as a kid, it freaked me out. And I remember one time telling my dad this, that I was like, oh, she kind of like, I'm scared of her. And they were like, why? Which, granted, she was a character. Like, she would threaten to kick your ass. So, like, there were valid reasons to be scared of her. And she'll panther punch you right into the throat.
Yeah.
But I was like, her hand and all this stuff. And to his credit, I will say, my dad is a very interesting character, but to his credit, he has always been a very caring. person, a very caring dad. And he explained to me what happened to her was that she had been in a car accident that paralyzed part of her arm. And so that's why her hand was pulled back into this claw.
Okay.
So cool. And I distinctly remember this conversation because I felt like such an asshole. Might be my earliest remembrance of feeling like an asshole. But it made me right. The last one's like 2 hours ago. But
I was
it
gonna say, yeah, what's the most recent? Yeah.
what time is it? What time is it? But it made me realize right in that moment, like what a disability was and what,
Oh,
like,
okay.
how people function with disabilities. And yes, it does look like a different than how someone else's hand looks or how she can use that hand. But that sort of by vocalizing that fear
Hmm.
instead of internalizing it, I got the right answer, in that right moment. And it really made me understand and appreciate all the things that she had to do in order to, still be active and live her life and do things around the house. And she cooked for herself. And, she always, you know, everyone knew her for her like ultra strong coffee. So she was always, you still had people over. She was always very accommodating. Like she was, loved hosting people at her place.
Okay.
And she was like the family touchstone of all of our gossip as well. So you could go over there and
I guess, I mean, it's funny because it's sort of like every human being has to have some moment where they learn that some people are differently abled and have different shaped bodies or whatever. Um, and it's probably surprising to a kid, right? Because kids, for the most part, unless they have parents who are differently abled, so it's normalized from for them like childhood. But yeah, that's an interesting. I don't think you should be hard on yourself. I don't think that means you should feel like an asshole. That was a learning experience.
yes, I mean, I felt like an asshole in the moment, but it was definitely
Well, all
a
right, that's
learning
fair.
experience, like very teachable. And
Yeah.
as I said, just it really introduced me to an understanding of, people with disabilities and all that stuff. So it's something that I think, horror culture kind of touches on because you have a lot of times we just judge our characters based on their physical appearance.
Well, yeah, and there is a nasty trend, not just in horror, but like in a lot of film where like a physical difference from the norm signifies somebody's an evil character, which is a little fucked up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, totally.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's a lot more profound than my next one. Because the the other thing I was afraid of,
Let's lighten the mood a little bit.
let's lay the mood. But I've since learned, I've subsequently learned because I've told people this, that this is actually a remarkably common fear as a kid. Um, so I grew up in the East Coast. Now I live in LA. We both live in LA. And in LA and Southern California in general, there are no basements because of earthquakes, right? Like
Yeah,
I guess
earthquakes,
there are some
flooding.
basements,
Yeah.
but like they're used for storage or whatever. Where I grew up in the Northeast, we don't have earthquakes. So basements at some point, probably in the 70s, which I was not born yet, but maybe 60s or 70s. Just want to put that out there. I was born in the 80s. Um, Somebody decided that basements would become like the domain of children. If you
Yes.
have
Yeah.
a family and you have kids, usually the basement.
That's still very on trend, by the
Oh, for
way.
sure.
Just
Yeah, yeah.
dip
And
them
usually
down to
the
the
ba
basement, down
yeah,
here.
and the
Yeah.
basement was like the
Perfect.
playroom, and usually you had a TV down there, you had all your like
Yeah.
board games, and that's of course like the TV where we had our video games. I remember being in my basement playing Mortal Kombat probably more than any other activity, hours logged that I did anytime else. But when I was a little kid, I remember to turn off the lights in the basement, the switch was about like halfway to the staircase. So you had to walk to the staircase in total darkness. And I remember like stretching my body. So this is like the switch. Stretching my body as far as boom, and then like booking it to the stairs and running up the stairs because I was so scared that the monster would get me. And
Hmm.
I told
Just in
people
case.
that that was a surprisingly common fear that a lot of kids had, which I thought was really, really interesting. We were all afraid of the monster in our basement.
But only when it was dark.
Only when it was dark. Yeah, when the lights were on, it was fine.
And
But
isn't
it
that
was,
interesting? Like you're down
yeah.
there, you can play, you have fun, you're doing your
Oh,
video
for
games.
hours. Yeah.
Engrossed in video games, anyone could have snuck up behind you the whole time. But as
Yeah.
soon as the lights go off, it's
Then
time.
it's go time. Then it's hammer time. Yeah. That's when that's when the monster comes out.
That's right, of course.
Because it's also that's where like our the heater was. You know what I mean? Like there was like we had like a little closet that had the thing that heated the whole house, and sometimes it would go like chunk, 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 chunk like that. And it was scary. I think they did this in Home Alone. I haven't seen that movie in so long, but I'm pretty sure there was a moment in Home Alone where like Kevin is afraid of the heater in his basement or something. But like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
like it like has teeth or something, or it's trying to
God, I
eat him or
haven't thought
something.
about that in decades, but I'm pretty sure that did happen. But
There's something there. It's a shared memory, so it
it's a
must have
shared
happened.
memory. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I That kind of leads into my next one
Okay.
actually, because we had a basement as well,
Mhm.
but we also had a built-out front porch, but the porch was built a little bit higher just in case of like flooding and stuff like that. I don't know how we had a basement, but also we had the porch was raised because of flooding. Whatever.
I would be worried about flooding in the basement, but
Me and my
hey,
basement floods all the
yeah,
time.
right.
Look, I didn't design the house, but there
Okay.
was a movie out. I forget how old I was, but this is like an early 80s movie, this cheesy ass movie called Critters.
Oh, I remember
Oh
Critters.
my God, it's these little like space monsters.
Yeah, it was kind of a like a B movie knockoff of Gremlins.
Mm-hmm.
As though Gremlins was not a B movie. It totally was.
It
But
totally
yeah,
was.
it came out after it was like a straight to video that came out after Gremlins. Yeah.
I mean, Gremlins was good though,
Yeah, well, it was really
but
good.
Critters was Critters. Was basically like puppets with teeth, and
Came out of the toilet
they came
on the
out. That's
I remember that was the cover of the VHS box was it coming out of the toilet. Yeah.
wait, that was something else. That was like goblins or
Oh, was that not Critters?
no,
Oh,
critters. They
never
were like
mind.
fuzzy critters. They were from space,
Oh, okay. All right.
and the what freaked me out was I think this happened in my memory, anyways, because I had still refused to rewatch it. In my memory, I believe they were in a trailer park, and the critters would get underneath the houses of the trailer park, and then like spring up or whatever, right? And it wasn't really the movie itself. Again, it wasn't the thing that I was actually afraid of. What it reminded me of as a child was when animals would go under that front porch and like fight for territory, or like it was cat mating season or whatever, and
Oh,
you'd be in the house, kind of like what you're saying with the furnace, where you'd be in the house and you just hear this unholy ruckus and all these like
I
weird
was gonna
ass
say cats fighting or cats in heat
or cats fucking,
is
either
is
one.
a terrifying sound.
Horrifying.
Yeah,
And we
it's
would hear it,
really scary.
and
Yeah.
it's coming up from the vents. It's coming like you're hearing it from the
Oh
vents.
yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that.
And so Critters just sort of like was a little mind bug for me where I was like, ah, I like saw that movie and I had fucking nightmares about Critters because in my mind it put a mental image to what was under the porch,
Hmm.
and it had teeth. So freaked
Yeah,
me out.
that is scary.
Didn't like
All right, so my next one has no teeth.
it.
Okay, so there's an interesting part of development in the human brain where like it's not spatial awareness, but it's related to that. Where like if so, there's this experiment that they do with like toddlers, right? Where if you have a ball of clay and it's a ball, and you show it to the toddler, and the toddler's like, oh, okay, cool, it's a ball, and then you know sculpt it in to look like a spider, and then the toddler will be like, ah, it's so scary. And even though it saw that it was just a ball of clay, and then you like crumple it up and you turn it right back to a ball, and the toddler was like, "Oh, cool, it's fine," like that, right? So it's
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
there's that kind of weird like assembly moment, and I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of fascinating if you are interested in the human brain. So anyway, like the thing that I have that's related to this is my brother had a puzzle of the Incredible Hulk that was like to my toddler brain was terrifying.
Oh
And
no.
he used to always like put it together. And I remember when it was in particular, like, when it was unassembled, like the Avengers, I was fine. But then when it would start to piece together and the Hulk would start to appear, and I remember very vividly like having to go like this, like walking across the room because it was so scary. And it's like it was the Hulk. But it was so scary to me as a kid because it was a monster. So yeah.
Oh,
God, I must have been like 3, I think. That might be my earliest memory. All my early memories are about being scared. I wonder if that's why I'm
really?
a horror director now.
That could be. Do you remember making any, like, did you make stories up when you were that age, or did you kind of,
I did, but they were never scary. That was never a thing that I was interested in when I was a kid. It was always it was always very like such a nerd. It was always like Greek myths because like I remember this is such a long
Okay, but
story.
Greek mythology is pretty freaky though. I
No, it has
mean,
it has like monsters and stuff for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was like Greek myths and then superheroes. That was like, and I've come so far. I'm
Your
totally not
baseline.
interested in either of those anymore. But yeah. But no, I remember the
That
Hulk was
was a
really scary.
lie. Yeah.
It was a lie.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I remember like as a kid too, I mean, I liked scary movies and stuff as a kid, even though like
Oh,
quite
you did?
I did. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
didn't. I really
Hmm.
didn't.
I
Okay.
think because I thought it kind of made you tough if you could like watch a scale. If you were like, oh, you were
Yeah.
scared. Oh, I wasn't scared. Like
I still
that
think
kind of
that now.
stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Very true.
Yeah.
And I think too, because I was just the right age where I'm a little older than you. I was just the right age
Like you're
where
like a couple of years older than me. You're not that much older than I am,
I think
just
I'm like
FYI.
5 years older than you.
Yeah, but at this age that we are now, does that
It
matter?
doesn't, but when you're a kid, the
Oh
difference
no, when you're a kid, it's
between
a big deal. Yeah, 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 for sure.
yes, so
Yeah.
that was like the sweet spot of all those 80s slasher movies and Freddy and
Oh,
Jason
okay.
and all that stuff. So it was, and especially too, I think at some point maybe even from the beginning, I don't know. But it really became, those are the movies where you kind of rooted for the monster, right? You were like, how's Freddy gonna get them? Or like, how's Jason gonna,
Yeah.
like, you were kind of watching for that. That was the whole point of it.
The
So
sequels, yeah, for
the
sure.
sequels, especially,
Yeah,
yes, for
yeah.
sure. So that's kind of, I think that shaped my little brain in some ways of,
Oh, okay.
that trend in horror at the time, which was, you didn't give a
Interesting.
shit about Final Girl. Someone lived. This movie sucked.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we all loved Freddy though. We always wanted him to succeed.
Oh, Freddie, the
I know.
quips, the one-liners, the puns. How could you not?
He was such a catty bitch. We loved him so much.
How could you not?
Yeah.
Robert England tore that up. I am sorry. I don't care what anybody says.
Dude, yes. Agreed. And I think now he's gotten his flowers in terms of how much he brought to that role. But he really, like, if you had put a lesser actor in there, that would not have been the show or the series that it was.
It wouldn't have worked. It absolutely would not have
Yeah.
worked. I feel like there was a one where they tried to replace him and then realized while shooting it, they were like, "Fuck it, we can't do this. Like we
Oh
have
yeah,
to. We'll just give him the money. Just
they
give him
did
the money."
what was it, like 2010, I think they did the remake and it just really didn't work. And oh God, I'm so terrible. I'm blanking on that actor's name that played him, but he was in Watchmen and he did nothing wrong.
Hmm.
It's like if you cast somebody else to play like Xena Warrior Princess and she could be the best actor in the world and she could do a great job, but it's like, but it's not Lucy Lawless.
It was
Like
very hard
some
to do.
characters are
Yeah.
just too iconic
Yeah,
and
very
too
hard to do.
connected to the person that played them.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, that's why I was glad when they at least said they were going to do the Buffy revival, which I'm still fingers crossed they'll do it. But
yeah,
I was glad that it was a continuation and they
yeah,
weren't going to
yeah.
be like, it's a new Buffy, like,
Right, right, right. Yeah,
like, or try to de-age her and be like, oh, this was her in junior high. Like, I'm
yeah,
really glad they just wanted to do a continuation of the story.
yeah. Indeed.
Well, my last two fears are
Oh,
sort of related.
okay,
The first one being, and still to this day, sharks. No,
go ahead.
absolutely not. No, Shark Week, fuck off. I'm not watching that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be around like, oh, look at the big shark. Absolutely not. No, you're not getting me in the water around like where there would be sharks.
Can I
No.
tell you something really funny? What? Okay, flashback 7 years ago when we were doing the crowdfunding campaign for Demon Hunter, and all of the actors, like we were just doing like this fun thing where actors had to like answer silly questions on camera and stuff just to like, generate content.
Yeah.
And and one of it was like, what is your childhood fear? And I want to say three out of the seven said sharks.
It's
That's so
real.
interesting. Yeah,
It's
people are
real.
afraid of sharks.
And
Did you
I
watch
don't like
Jaws? Is that why?
I don't think I was allowed to watch Jaws.
Okay.
So I don't remember watching that until later. It's possible that I did, but I didn't have anything to do with that. I'm sure by the time I saw Jaws, it just solidified everything that I was already thinking.
Can I tell you some funny shit?
Please do.
I grew up in the Jersey Shore. I saw sharks, not in the water when I was swimming, but like I remember one time there was a fisherman hall and they had a shark. Not a
Oh,
great white shark. This was
sure,
probably
sure.
like maybe a 6 footer or whatever.
Like a baby shark.
But
Oh yeah.
not a baby shark. It was, it was an adult shark.
Just a ton and a half, yeah.
No, it was not. But like for some reason, sharks never scared me. I swam in the ocean all the time. And I watched Jaws. I saw Jaws when I was a kid. And I don't know. I think maybe because growing up in a beach town, like the normalization of swimming in the ocean, I never was afraid of sharks. But I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. Yeah.
Mm-mm. I
And
think
also,
because they're so indiscriminate, you know what I mean? It's
oh
like,
yeah.
oh, like
A-
I'll
a-
just eat this, whatever
And
it
the other
is.
thing is like, this was like a meme that happened really recently where people were like, as a fun like trivia question. They're like, what came first, birds, sharks, or trees? And the answer is actually sharks. Sharks predate birds and trees, which I knew. But and I knew that they predated trees because I read the novel of Jurassic Park when I was a kid. But sharks have not evolved in like 200 million years because they don't have to.
What do they need to do?
They're
Yeah.
good
They're like, we've
exactly
got
the way they
this.
are.
We've
Yeah.
actually we're fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got
so
this.
I can understand why they're scary, but for some reason, I don't know, they just never scared me.
Oh, that's interesting because I mean I knew they were prehistoric, but when you
Yeah.
say that, it clicks something where maybe that's part of it. The way that they look,
Oh,
right? The
yeah,
way that
yeah.
they look like an ancient creature. Like they do actually have that kind of, I don't know.
It's like the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. Like we've awakened something that has been here since the Second Age, and it's just like, yeah, they're just
And it just
horrifying.
has
The
rows and
big
rows
doll
of
eyes
teeth.
too. That's really scary. Yeah, I will
The
say.
doll eyes that roll back. That's what
Doll
gets
eyes
me
that roll
is the
back, the
roll back
double row
eye.
of teeth. Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Freaks me out.
Interesting. All right, let me remind myself. Oh, okay. So, hard pivot. I'm now a tween. Uh, Something that really scared me, but like aroused me, not sexually, but just like made me excited for more. And I think this was probably the beginning of like my journey as a horror writer and director. Nickelodeon's Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was on Saturday night, Snick, Saturday Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember one of the Midnight Society guys was like really, really hot.
Hmm.
He was probably 12, but I think I was 9, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's all right. But like I can't remember who he was. It's been decades since I've seen that show, but he had a very like AC Slater vibe. I don't know. But and I remember always being very excited when it was like him telling the story that, the framing device. But yeah, no, I remember that show really scared the bejesus out of me. But I loved it. By that point, I was old enough to be like, ooh, it's kind of like fun and
It's a
scary
little,
and
yeah, it's a
and it
little
feels like an
intimidating.
adventure. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, like you're going to be scared, but it's a controlled scared. In fact, I love that
Yep.
show. In fact, the title of this podcast is a little bit derivative of
Oh,
just
nice.
that idea of
Yeah.
are you afraid of the dark? Yeah, and I again being a little older was yeah, definitely very interested in
Yes.
castmates, but as well as I think there's certain things where like sharks, that's not a fear that I like. Like I'm not gonna be like, ooh, let me go look at sharks in the ocean because that's gonna scare me. No.
Yeah. Right.
But there are certain things where, yeah, I like folklore and scary stories and urban legends and all that stuff because it plays into that fear, but it's like a safe, right? It's like a roller coaster, but like you're probably not gonna go off the track, right?
And that's why we love horror films, right?
Oh,
Because it's
absolutely.
like playing with danger, but you're actually always safe, which is why they're
Yes.
fun. Yeah.
Yes, which just as a little tease for a future bonus episode, Tim and I will be talking about the five frights, our top five horror movie franchises. So
Mhm.
that's just a little tease for that coming up as we slide into our last couple of childhood horrors. For me,
Mhm.
related to sharks, the ocean. Oh, let's go to the beach, Wes. Oh, let's go to the beach. First of all, too much sand. Second of all, I will go to the beach and I will be on the beach in
Mhm.
my little beach pup tent in the shade, not getting blasted by the sun. You will not see me in the ocean. No. No. No.
Not even a little bit.
You can put me on a boat, a big boat, not a
I mean,
little
because
boat.
because obviously we live in LA, the Pacific Ocean is about
Yes.
-50 degrees Fahrenheit.
There's
But
also that. It's
but
freezing
the
fucking cold. I'm not
it's
getting in there.
no,
Fish
nobody's
poop in there.
swimming in the Pacific Ocean. But the Atlantic Ocean off the East Coast is not that bad. It's not that cold. I like it. I swim there all the time.
I don't look. I don't know what's in there. I don't trust it. The deep ocean to me is like outer space. I don't
Well, that's
uh,
not the deep ocean that we're swimming in. We're swimming like 10 feet off of the coast. I will say this though, talking about prehistoric animals, we do have on the Jersey Shore, we have what's called horseshoe crabs, which are they have an exoskeleton, right? So they have like a shell, kind of like a turtle, but they have a tail that is basically like a butcher knife. Like
Oh,
it's like that long, and it
oh,
is a defensive mechanism for them. So it can go right through your foot if you
great.
don't realize that one is underneath you and you like put your foot down. Um, but as kids, like we used to like pick up the dead horseshoe crabs that had washed up and like have like horseshoe crab fights with them and stuff. It's so weird and dark, but when you grow up and it's normal, you're like, oh, that's fine. It's
It's fair.
super weird,
It's
but
fair. No, I
yeah.
just think there's weird stuff down there. The
Oh yeah,
idea
there is.
of being in the ocean and not being able to see land fucking freaks me out.
Oh, well, that's scary,
Physically,
of course.
fuck
Yeah.
that. Physically
Yeah.
being in the ocean freaks me out. I'm not doing it. Just anything sort of related to, mind you, I find it fascinating. Like I'm so curious to know what actually does live like really in the depths, but also keep me away from it. It's there for a reason.
Also,
I need to get
God
around
didn't invent pools so that nobody would swim in them,
it. Exactly.
you
That's
know?
very true. That's
Yeah.
very true. Yeah.
I remember
And
Dolly
unlike,
Parton one time
yeah,
said God didn't make plastic surgeons just so they would starve.
that's true.
And that's how I feel about pools.
Yeah, and unlike you, I didn't grow up near the beach at all. We were totally landlocked in Ohio. The closest thing was like Lake Michigan, and no one's getting in there. So
Is I don't know anything about Lake Michigan. Is nobody getting?
people do get in there, and there are different like urban legends and stuff about the lakes of Michigan and creatures that live in there and all this stuff. But it's also just
Nessie.
gross. It's just gross. It was just
Yeah.
disgusting.
All right, that's fair.
Fish in there.
All right, does that bring us to
That
my final one?
yes, you're going
Okay.
to.
My last one is the books of Lois Duncan. And if you don't know who that is, she was now we would call it a YA author. That wasn't a term when I was reading them. But she wrote the novel, I Know What You Did Last Summer, which obviously
Yeah.
they turned into the film. The novel was very different. It was not a slasher in the way that the book was, or the way that the movie was, but it was quite scary. But she also wrote a book called Don't Look Behind You, which was another moment in my life where I was like, I'm so scared and I'm so aroused at the same time. And it was just about this like I'm trying to remember the premise. It was a young girl was the lead character. And if I recall correctly, her dad witnessed a mob hit. And so then they went into the witness protection program, but they were like still being stalked by, like bad guys and stuff. And she had a big climatic fight at the end with this guy, and she was a tennis star, so she used her tennis racket to beat him up. But which sounds so ridiculous when I say it like that, but like I just remember I was reading it and I was halfway through the final chapter and my mom came into my room because it was time for me to go to bed. And I was like, Mom, and I explained to her like what was happening in the book. And I was like, I only have like 15, 20 pages left. And my mom was like, okay, I'm not gonna, you finish the book. I get it. I get it. I'm not gonna delay this for you. And I was like, thank you. And so I was able to finish reading it. And damn, it was so scary and it was so good. But she wrote a lot. She actually wrote quite a few really scary books. Scary for, age appropriate, scary for like 11, 12 year olds. So,
And
yeah.
isn't that so interesting how a book that you're holding in your hand and just words that you're reading on a page ignite your imagination in such a way where, of course, you're going to continue reading it because you want to know what happens, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you're feeling all those emotions and anticipation and
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great. And they really are like watching movies, those that sort of golden era. Because I mean that gave way to like Christopher Pike and R.L. Stine and all the like YA horror novelists and stuff. But she was doing it, I think, a little bit earlier. But yeah, it was so good. Oh, it was so titillating and scary, and I loved it.
Love it. Well, that concludes our five frights childhood horrors edition, childhood trauma. Starting off our bonus episodes. Right. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you on social media to follow everything that you're doing?
So you can find me at Tim O'Leary online on all of the socials. And I have a website, timolearyonline.com. I try to make it easy so that everybody can find me in the same space. And yeah, and Laid Bear is out now on Out TV. So please watch.
Yeah, if you're curious, Tim's films frequently feature hot, gay, unclothed men.
What?
So just
My films?
yeah, just throwing that out there. You're like, sure. Yeah, you should.
Wes, have you ever been a hot, gay, unclothed man in one of my films?
In fact, two, because I was in Demon Hunter
It's two, that's right.
and I was in Holly King.
The Holly King. Much more
That's
prominently
right.
featured in the Holly
That's
King. Yes.
true.
Yeah.
Prominent as in
Yeah.
yes,
I think you
every.
had one line in Demon Hunter.
That's that's true. We're still
Yeah.
counting it though. It still went on the
Still counting. It
IMDb.
still counts. Still the same character.
That's
So,
right. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, listener, viewer, for joining us.
Good.
Until next
Thanks.
time, bye.